Ever wondered how Serena Wiegmann ended England's 56-year trophy drought everyone else failed to do? After coaching and researching top sporting performers for over a decade, I've realised most coaches either miss or deny this crucial problem. So in this video, I'll show you exactly what Serena did, how you can coach like the best, and how you can help your players reach the top of their game. When we look at sport performance, there is an obvious difference in player ability, players learning at different rates and at different levels, which makes coaching quite difficult. My sister, she played football in a boys' team growing up, but around 11 years old, she was told to leave. She had to go play for a girls' team. No, she wasn't the best, but she was far from the worst player on the team. Not only that, there are far less girls' teams around, but the coaching of the girls' teams weren't very different. However, I remember listening to some male coaches talking about women's football. They were saying they aren't strong enough, fast enough, and believe it or not, they said not intelligent enough to play that sort of football. I kept my cool, but there is an element of truth in what they were saying, as Serena Williams, a world-class tennis player, said.
I'm like, Andy, seriously, like, are you kidding me? Because for me, tennis and men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because no, it's true. It's true.
Honestly, really.
It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit harder. It's just a different game, and I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you kill me.
In late 2023, a female player ranked 57th in the world played a male player ranked 1,145th in the world. The man won. There are plenty of other examples where physical differences change performance levels of athletes, but Serena Wiegmann did something different. Only around 6% of sports science is exclusively done on females. Training, competition, and recovery methods used are often designed for men, but used for women. And conversations around periods, breast health, and the pelvic floor are often avoided. Instead of coaching football to her players, she helped her players play football. Lionel Messi was almost ignored due to his size being too small, but arguably became the best footballer ever. Everyone has different physical capabilities, and Serena Wiegmann adjusted her coaching to help the players. When we look back in the past coaches from the Lionesses, there is Phil Neville, Mark Sampson, and then Hope Powell, who left the role in 2013. Before Hope was Ted Copeland. If you didn't notice the trend, the coaches were mainly men, with no women as head coaches in the men's game. But the problem goes beyond results. Michelle Freeman coached the USA women's relay team to multiple world and Olympic gold medals. She is the most successful relay coach they'd had. The gold medal winning relay team were also featured in a recent Nike Super Bowl ad all about challenging societal expectations and empowering women in sports and life. But her coaching contract wasn't renewed. As one member of the track and field community said, it's a move so counterintuitive that it demands scrutiny, not just of the decision itself, but of the system that enabled it. And this isn't an isolated incident. Since Paris in 2024, several highly successful female coaches have been quietly removed by their federations. When we consider at the Paris Olympic Games, only 8.8% of competing athletes had a female personal coach. Reducing that number seems questionable. Women were finding success where men hadn't because of their approach to coaching. Instead of coaching from the book, likely created from male-orientated research, they coached from their experience and, importantly, their understanding of the differences in the sport. When we look at the exposure, investment, and value of women's sport, it is rapidly growing across the world. The Women's Super League in football, WNBA, basketball, rugby, and loads of other sports. But a recent UK coaching report shows a 6% drop in female coaches, which might actually be a good thing. As Vicky pointed out in this post, 47% of coaches have never taken formal coaching qualifications. Then 23% are level 1 or level 2, which, depending on the sport, might be a few weekend courses taken decades ago. So about 70% of coaches have little or no formal coach education. Considering almost 70% of coaches are volunteer or subsidised by not having to pay for things like coaching courses, insurance or club fees, arguably mandatory for the position, so I would still count them as volunteer, there might be well over 3 million coaches in the UK, but very few are professional. If we then consider the report saying that women use the title PE teacher or teacher more than men, and men using coach and assistant coach more, I feel this shows a trend. The report used this definition for coach: coaching, instruction, training or tuition in any sport or physical activity outside of formal education. This can include any environment such as formal sports club settings as well as informal community settings. It can include any sport or physical activity, including recreational or competitive sport, exercise, fitness, gym, etc. But women seem to prefer using professional titles more than men. Now, titles are one thing, but behaviours are what matters, right? Men tend to focus on developing technique, achieving goals, preparing for competition, and developing talent. Seemingly performance-focused, women tend to focus on building up confidence, promoting health, getting people active, inclusive, accessible sessions, and keeping people active. Seemingly participation-focused. And this is where Serena and other professional coaches set themselves apart. Psychology, biology, perception, and cognitive science building up their coaching education alongside business, press, and financial management at the top of the sport. But successful coaches embrace the coach-athlete relationship and team culture. Not participation versus performance, but skill development. Elite coaches seeing the title as something earned through experience, but also qualification and ongoing education. Doctors, physios, bankers, and pilots all have standards to uphold or they lose their license. Successful coaches treat sports coaching as a job. You could lose your job for lack of standards. When Greg Souders started coaching after getting his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he realised actually coaching was harder than he first thought. In this video, I share how he uses new coaching science to create his champions.